by the way, it's my second. It's the start of my second today. I gotta.
No wine, we're straight jugs.
Those glasses, I saw those glasses though did tempt me a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie. What you got? What did you bring? What did you bring?
Strict show budget. I don't remember what it was. It's upstairs. If you want it, we can bring it.
Tell them to bring them down.
Bring it in case.
Let's take a look at them. I'll just take a look at them,
Right.
just in case. I might just have a little sip, or even just had a glass here. It looks aesthetically, it looks great on camera. We want to keep it, you know,
classy, elevated.
Yeah, keep it elevated.
Sophisticated.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome back to another episode of Mind the Game. In this episode, I got to nerd out a little bit. Maybe it's a episode that means more to me than most people out there, but I think it's really fascinating for fans and even fans who played in the league to understand what it takes to survive, to find consistency, to be prepared to play, to avoid injury, to be able to go out there every night and do your job. And so in this episode, I really dug in on LeBron's preparation, how he takes care of his body, the sports science behind it, what his recovery is like, his diet, many different things that allow him to find that level night after night, but also year after year. This is year 22 for LeBron James. That's an outrageous accomplishment to play and to be able to play at this level, still dunking on younger players, still running the floor, still able to play at an extremely high level and efficient level. And much of that is due to the way he handles his preparation and recovery. This guy is very diligent and religious about the way he takes care of his body and his mind, and I think you'll be fascinated, as I was, to get a little deeper and understand the methodology and the routines and the habits that he's built over these 22 years. You know, one thing that I got to ask, and it leads into a longer conversation that fascinates me, is like, how do you feel? Like, really, how do you feel? Like, do you feel great? Do you feel like, I feel great for my age? Do you feel, I feel great for this stage of my career? You're just like, I feel great.
I have my moments.
Yep.
Before.
So that's good. You're human. You're human.
I have my moments. But I would say for where I am in my career, the years I've played, the miles I've played, the minutes I've played, the games I've played, I feel great. I feel great. And obviously you have months where some months are better than others, depending on the schedule. After games, depending on the workhorse of the game, you know, you're like, oh shit. But it's usually the morning after the game. It's that first step out of bed will let you know how old your ass is.
Yep.
And those are the moments I'm like, Brian, what the hell? And it's usually on the road too.
Yeah,
it's usually on the road, you know. You're like, what the hell are you still doing out here? What the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Why are you out here still?
Yeah. And where do you feel it? Like, is it like a slight like inflammation, tired legs, back?
Yeah,
like,
back, ankles. Yeah.
You know, no one wants to hear this, but I played soccer a little bit. I played the other night, a bunch of guys that are like 25 to 30, 30s. Like, I wake up the next day, I feel like I was in a car crash. Yeah. That's the only way I can explain it. Like, I don't know how you are still dunking on cats, like running out ahead of everybody.
I don't know either.
You know,
I don't know.
Do you have nights like this happened to me a lot, and you have to learn to deal with it and get it done anyways, where you just feel like heavy legs?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Or you know, you wake up and you're headed to the arena and you're like,
I don't know.
It's not going to be tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do it tonight.
You know, we just, I had that feeling right after the break. We shit the bed versus Charlotte right after the break, back-to-back in Portland. You know, we didn't get to our hotel until 3 o'clock in the morning, and we had a back-to-back versus Portland. They had won 9 of their last 11, and I think the 2 games they lost to was versus Denver. I think there was 11 and 2 over their last 13, so they have been playing good ball. Chauncey had them playing great ball. And you know, I woke up to get treatment at like 11 o'clock. You know, I didn't go to sleep till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, so I set my alarm for 10:30. I was like, okay.
Is that always hard for you? When you get off a flight,
get
to the room?
Yeah. Even at home, it's always hard to sleep the night after a game.
So, like, do you ever go on the road after a game? You fall asleep that last 10 minutes of the flight, you can't fall asleep for like 3-4 hours.
It just killed me on the way back from Denver.
It
was the worst.
That.
It killed me on the way back from Denver.
Like, holding my
oh my
eyes
goodness,
open.
it killed me on the way back from Denver.
Oh,
you know, so we're in Portland, and you know, I get my rehab, my treatment. I was like, okay, I have to get my body moving. You know, I can't wait till 7 at night. I got to get my body moving. I get the treatment and rehab. I get in there, and I get down around like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And usually I catch the first bus, which is usually 3.5 hours before the game. So 7 o'clock game is like a 3:30 bus.
I got to hear about that later, the thought on that. But go on, keep going.
I get into bed at 1 o'clock. I set my alarm for 2:30. It goes off. My body basically says, there's no way you get out of this bed yet. So I reset my clock again for the next bus, supposed to be at 4. Yeah. Body again. Long story short, I end up catching the last bus at 5 o'clock. Like I couldn't. My body would not let me get out of bed. I needed to rest till 4:15. I finally got out of the bed, caught the 5 o'clock bus, didn't shoot pregame, got in, did some stretching, you know, did a little activation in the locker room, got ready to play, and I was like, tonight ain't gonna be the night, and I scored 40.
Yeah. You've been there before. You've been there before. You don't panic.
I didn't panic at all.
You don't quit. You're like, it might not be the night. Let me adapt.
But let me see.
Before you know it,
the crowd start going. The motor gets going. You know, I always say like I'm like a 1965 Chevy Caprice. I just needed a little bit of time on the highway
to
get going, rev it up, get a little smoke out of the engine. Yeah, and then I was ready to go.
But it's interesting because I think like the common fan and even maybe a lot of players, you know, nowadays we have all the bells and whistles for recovery, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Massage, compression, hot, cold.
Yeah, hot, cold, hyperbaric, yep.
95% of your recovery, 99% is sleep.
It's sleep.
It's by far the greatest.
I said it after the game. They asked me, how I said, I just slept as much as I could.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing, like, that's got to be a habit if you want to be successful.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to prevent injury. You want to be able to say, I don't have it tonight, but I'll give myself a chance. I get 40,
it's
right? But that's a part of the discipline of sleeping and staying, you know, because a lot of times, you know, like we travel. This is for the fans, right? You travel, you get in and out, late nights, planes, different cities, time zones, the cumulative effect of the season. Not complaining, it's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
But like your clock is a mess. Like that's why like I wasn't a great sleeper. So I had to nap like every day, like really for the days when I wasn't going to sleep, right? And it's cumulative sleep. Like you have a bank account is the way sleep works.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So like if you're trying to get 8 to 9 a day, like sometimes you're going to get 5 or 6. And how are you going to make up the deficit, right? So napping, the discipline to go to bed early, all those things are so important.
No, my wife literally, she's the best ever. She gets mad at me when it's time for me to go to bed. That's how much I love sleep and take care of my body. Like man, but about 9 o'clock at night, I'm like, ooh, what time you going to bed? She's like, you going to sleep?
Yeah.
Like, I am going to bed.
Do you like preempt it with like you want to hang a little tonight? Because if you want to like get dinner, like have a glass of wine, we better do it at like 5:36. That's my household too.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
But I'm interested in how you've done this throughout the years, and so maybe I was thinking we could start like with how the calendar looks for you. So like, if you don't mind, like the season ends. Okay, let's start now. It's a new season, so that's our January 1 as basketball players in a way is like when the season ends.
Right.
How is your approach to the off season and especially those first 3-4 weeks?
Yeah, those first 3 or 4 weeks is literally I try to get away from actually me playing basketball. Am I away from the game? Absolutely not. I'm watching the game or I'm in the gym with my boys and I'm watching them prepare and playing, either if they're in tournaments, whatever the case may be. But me personally, I try to give myself, especially at this point in my career, an opportunity for all the little nicks and crannies and bruises, whatever, to give itself to recover. And obviously I've learned over the years that, you know, me recovering at 40 is totally different in the off season than me recovering at 25. You just don't recover as fast. Right. So I try to take like a month, maybe a month and a half off from like really like grinding on the basketball court. But what I am doing, you know, I'm doing yoga and Pilates and stretching and massaging and, you know, cupping and all those things that try to help rejuvenate my body
without
to when it's
wear and
time.
tear,
Without no
taxing.
wear and tear. If I'm running, try to run in one of the Ultra G, treadmill where you can
lessen the load.
You can lessen the load, or doing more pool workouts where you lessen the load on your limbs and joints and things of that nature. So that's what kind of like my first 6 to 8 weeks look like, after the season, because I'm still traveling, with the kids and with the family. So, obviously that's information anytime you get up in the air. But, I'm able to kind of take care of my body then for those first 6 to 8 weeks.
But I think it's an important point, and I think you'll agree, I didn't believe in taking much time off. Because
especially as you get older.
When you get older, you stop moving, you might not get it back.
Yeah.
So continuing to do the bits and bobs and having the regenerative effect, but still moving the body, synovial fluid,
No, you're right, because if you completely just shut down and do nothing, then you won't do nothing.
Right. Yeah.
You won't do nothing. You start to get comfortable with it. You're like, I don't like this feeling, but
yeah.
I don't,
It's like the principle that the body's an adaptive system.
Yeah.
So we do what we teach it, right? So if you run, you become someone that can run. If you sit on the couch and do nothing, you're someone that's adapted now to doing nothing. So when you ask yourself to do something, this is dangerous. For what we're trying to do, to get back out in the court and run around, things fall off, right? So
for sure.
It's really important, I think, to it's almost active recovery, movement. So I'm interested that you felt that way too. But then the mental side too. Right, getting a little bit of space from the game, the grind, right? So that when you do 4, 6, 7 weeks into the summer, get back at it, you're there's a little spark. There's a little bit of excitement.
It make you miss it a little bit. Yeah. And that's what I think once you get to those, plus 15 years in the NBA, you're always trying to find, the little moments of inspiration. It could be from anything. It could be just the inspiration for the miss of the love of the game.
Yeah.
You've taken time away from it, and now I miss it. I want to get back to it. It could be inspiration from, your kids. Yep. Hanging around your kids, no matter what sport they're playing. Yep. It could be basketball. It could be soccer. It could be, whatever they're playing. You just seeing the competitive juices. So you're like, okay, now I miss it. Or it could just be now it's time to click back in, because you still feel like you still have more time.
Yeah.
You still feel like I have more to give.
Yeah, and you want to be sharp.
Yeah, you want to be sharp.
And usually the season doesn't end in a championship, so you have motivation from failure. You want to be more prepared. So giving yourself that space, it revs up that motivation, which is huge, right?
No, absolutely.
It's a little bit a part, I'm sure, of your journey is I try to tell this to young players, but a coach could give us a workout. Here's what I want you guys to do.
Right.
And you and I doing it can be totally different.
Right.
I did it, but you attacked it, right? You went after it. So the approach, the habits that you have for how you work is so important. And sometimes you need a little bit of space to say, I'm ready now. I got the spark that my habits are coming back, that every day, I'm competing in everything I do, whether it's the gym, it's mobility, stability, activation, recovery. I could skip the cold. No, that's not me. I'm going to do every little step.
Yep, and I think the best thing about it is when it becomes just a way of life.
Yep.
And it's not even about because you're an athlete. It's because it's a part of your life. You may not all the time, I know when I'm done playing basketball, I won't be going to the gym every day working on my game anymore. But as far as training and still doing things for my body, active recovery, mentally recovering mentally, grounding, things that I'm gonna still do. All the stuff that I've done besides the basketball portion, when it comes to my lifestyle, will not change. I fell in love with the hyperbaric chamber, the hot and cold tub, the plunges, the massages, the everything, the grounding, just going out and sitting in the grass and just, just literally just letting go, and all of that stuff. So those things are a part of life now. And when you're able to incorporate the active life skills into a profession as well, it unlocks a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Sleeping, obviously, like you said, is most important.
They say in the habit sciences, a part of forming a habit is identifying with it. So you now identify with this lifestyle. You identify with every spoke in the wheel of success, right? So I'm a little bit like you in that, I can't sit still. My career is long gone now. I've been out of the game for 10, 11 years. I can't sit still.
You've been out how long?
40 when I retired. So yeah, I just turned 51. So
Are you kidding
coming
me?
up on I think it's 14. So yeah, with the 11 years, my last game was March of 14 at Staples. So
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
11 games.
It does not seem that long.
It feels that long to me.
Now I feel old as shit. Now,
Oh, you're the young man dunking on people.
No,
so.
I feel so old. It's been 10 plus years since you played. That's not.
I
No,
know, right?
wow.
Time flies.
Wow, time
My
flies.
daughters are in college, all that stuff.
You look great,
right?
man.
So-
You said
oh, thank
51.
you.
Freak.
Well, let's cheers to that.
cheers,
because,
man.
I get glimpses of myself in the mirror every once in a while, and I'm like, oh.
Oh, fuck no, man.
gray,
You look fucking
wrinkles.
great. 51? I would have never guessed that.
Thank you. You know, as someone who's always looking for that next rush, whether it's driving the lane or threading the needle, we get it. You need that excitement. And let me tell you, I found it in Audible. No joke, these audiobooks have me on the edge of my seat, whether on a long drive or in a recovery session. From heart-pounding thrillers to epic adventures, these stories have you on the edge of your seat like you're right in the middle of the action. They've got these Audible originals that are absolutely amazing, plus all the bestsellers you've been meaning to check out. The best part? You can get started with a free 30-day trial at audible.com. Audible knows there's no greater thrill out there than yours. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat on Audible. Sign up for a 30-day free trial at audible.com/game and dive into a world of new thrills. That's audible.com/GAME. Okay, so then you get back in the gym.
Yeah.
Right? That part of the summer where it's like, hey, I got to get my game sharp.
Yeah.
Are you at the place still where you still add, or you just like get sharp again?
I'm a place where it's more just sharpening everything.
Right.
You know, I have, you know, I'm not in ad mode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like I've gotten to a point where what I bring to the game.
Yeah, you're comfortable with the faculties.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the foundation of
Yep.
my game.
Yep.
But it's just all about sharpening it. So if it was one summer where I feel like I didn't shoot the ball particularly well, either in catch and shoot, then I spent a lot of time in catch and shoot. If it was a point in time where I feel like my post game and wasn't, you know, as efficient I wanted to be, then I do that. If it was a point in time where I feel like my ball handling wasn't as good as I would like for it to be, I'm never going to be Steve Nash or Kyrie Irving when it comes to ball handling, but I can be myself.
Yes, sir.
Then I work on that a little bit more. So, yeah, it's just about sharpening, you know, the foundation of my game at this point.
But I bet you add experiences, right? Like where you're like, this situation, maybe I should try something else. Does that process happen for you at postseason, summer?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Next year, I need to exploit this situation in either a different way or exploit it more. Instead of giving this one away, I can double down here.
You know what? You know, it comes from where's the game going. You know, I've been in the league, and obviously, like you said, you know, you said your last game was in 2014, so that means I was with you for 11 years competing, or you know, whatever the case may be, either in multiple uniforms you're in. I was in multiple uniforms, but I've seen the game. When I came into the league, it was the two bigs.
Yep.
It was pretty much one guy would handle the ball, and then you had your two wings.
Yep.
You know, and probably up until about, you know, I guess 2008, 2009, you start having more players handle the ball, you know, but you still had the same two bigs, you know, thing. And then you went into Phoenix and changed the whole two bigs. No, one big. Yeah. You know, I need one rim roller or one guy that can sprint down the floor, beat everybody down. If you're down there, you beat the big, kick it ahead to you. If not, you come set the drag screen. We're gonna spread the game out. You know, and we adapted that in Miami when Bosh became the five. You know, and you know we see what the game is now. And now, today it's almost 5 out.
Right.
You know, 5 out. Everyone's shooting threes. Yeah. So I think when it came to the offseason, I always wanted to have the adaptability and the growth mindset to be able to change with the game, where I will still be productive no matter what the game called for.
Right. Makes sense.
And I think that's what
It's
it
like
was
not
about.
like you didn't have it in your package.
Right.
It was just like, I need to bring out more of this.
Yeah,
now.
what did the game cause for?
Right.
Did the game cause for me to be more of a pick and roll player? Did the game cause for me to be a
Post
guy that
up more,
slash or you know, slash more without the ball? You know, did the game cause for me to shoot me a few more threes? You know, that's where it is today. So you know, you work on those aspects to where you're still effective. You know, and you can still adapt and have a growth mindset with the game.
So when you're working out in the summer, you're getting back in the gym. How many days a week and how long are you in the gym with the ball?
When I'm super locked in, I'm in there 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Saturday is a recovery day where I do absolutely nothing. Sunday is more of a now starting to get the body work done and get my mind ready for the long week again. I try to on Saturday just kind of get away from it. Summertime, just get away from it. Whatever it is. But 5 days a week, I'm in there, and it's usually like Monday is usually the toughest day. Okay. Obviously you're coming off the weekend, 2-day weekend. It's usually the most, strenuous day. Tuesday is a lot of running, but a lot of just catching, shooting, getting your legs back under you. And then hump day is Wednesday. Hump day is Wednesday. And once you get over that Wednesday, the rest of the week is pretty, because that middle of the week is always
and the
challenging.
body's now caught up a little bit. Yeah. You can get through it.
Yeah, so, I'm trying to go 5 days a week once I'm locked in for like 8 to 10 weeks coming into the season.
And are you doing manual therapy, physio before every session?
Yeah. I'm getting there. I usually lift 3 days out of the week where I'm like in the weight room lifting, and then the other 2 days I'm just doing like, the ball work, band work, just kind of mobility stuff. Yeah, exactly.
That's one thing I think is changed from the start of my career for sure, but probably start of your career too to now is you have to, I believe you have to be religious with the mobility, stability stuff, because the way our game's played, and today it's even faster, guarding in more space, the travel, you have to stay on top of that stuff.
When I came in, and obviously when you came in, everybody was like this.
Right.
It's like who can lift the most weights, who was the strongest, that's the only way you could play. Right. And that's the narrative with,
Thankfully for me, it changed. Because I wasn't going to outlive anyone.
Those motherfuckers that look like this realized they couldn't keep up with your ass. That's why it changed. You helped change it. I remember coming to the league and being shocked at how strong Derek Harper was. Yeah. Pick me up full court and you could grab. He just grabbed me by the hip and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can go anywhere. I was like, how am I going to break through this? And so of course you adapt, you learn, but the game's come so far from, like you said, the two bigs, the clutching, grabbing, chucking, the hand checking up the court. Man, it was stodgy back in the day. Right, yeah, for sure, absolutely.
That's the thing. And we'll get to this later in the series, but the talk around sometimes, some people aren't as happy with the way the game is. We need to help teach fans how great the game is now. Yeah. It's not going back to that. Right. It's a lot of nostalgia. There's other factors, but the game is great, and we need to teach people how to appreciate it.
Yeah, we just need to. I think have an appreciation, and I think if our fans will really go back and watch some of those games, they will realize then maybe that's not something we would want to see on a night-to-night basis.
I agree.
Because the difference between our game now is that all of our games are on television every single day, either nationally, locally, or through League Pass. So you can watch all of our games. In the 80s and the 90s, you may be able to catch one game if you had it locally. If your team had a local broadcast deal, you could catch it. And if not, then you may not see a game for a long time.
Yeah.
Let's
the NBC
broadcast. NBC broadcast. Maybe once every couple. You maybe catch one or two games, every other week. So, I think the nostalgia of the game, I think it's just a deeper conversation of why we should appreciate and celebrate our game of basketball today, our athletes of today.
Sure.
Just like, the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s guys were celebrated, and 2000 guys were celebrated. So it's definitely a conversation we get to later.
We'll get to that. I'm excited about that for sure. But how about this? At what point in the summer are you like, I want to get in game shape? And how do you, is it September? Is it in training camp? You prep to get there in training? How do you do that?
Well, we both can tell everyone, out there. There's no way to get in game shape in the offseason.
Right. No.
But what you can do is get in the best optimal shape leading up to the and then the step before. Because nobody can come into training camp and say, I'm in game shape. Right. It just doesn't happen. Yeah. So, I try to get into the best shape I could possibly be in leading into September. Mm-hmm. So, when it gets to about, after the first week of August, I start then to now start to like push, a little bit.
I start ramping it up.
I start ramping it up. So every week I ramp it up a little bit more, ramp up the intensity, ramp up, the conditioning portions. Mm-hmm. I start knowing when I'm getting in better shape when I don't need as many breaks for water.
Right.
That's kind of like my gauge.
You're like, okay, I'm fitter this week.
Yeah. Like, like if I'm doing a 45-minute court workout and every 5 to 7 minutes, through that 45 minutes, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm like, okay, I gotta get better. Okay. Then, the next week it's like every 3 to 5 minutes. Right. And then it's 2 to 4 minutes. And then it's 1 to 2 minutes. And then it gets to a point where I've only needed one break in 45 minutes. That's when I know, like, okay, I'm in a really good pace.
And maybe you can explain through the stages of your career, but like, when do you start playing? And like, what, like in your first third of your career, first 7 years, how much did you? When did you start playing?
Playing like on 505?
Yeah.
Oh, I used to play. I mean, probably my first 12, 14 years, I played all through the summer. I mean,
it's because you love to hoop.
I just love to hoop. Yeah. Like I used to play outdoors. I played outdoor basketball as a pro. I had no idea how bad that was for me, but I was like,
you said that.
I fucking love ball. Yeah. Like me and my friend, I go back home in the summertime. Back in Akron. So obviously I played for the Cavs, but I would be back in Akron. Me and my best friends, they'd come back from college. We'd get a group. We'd be playing outside. Like it was nothing. The sun is beaming off the blacktop.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Like when I was at like my prime of my career, even like first 3-4 years in Phoenix, in the summer, go to the facility, do all your work, play, whatever. I always wanted to shoot again.
Yeah.
So I always tried to shoot again. Like just how efficient can I be? So in Phoenix, it's 110, 115 degrees. I would go to the park, sometimes the driveway, but I would go to like a random park because no one's going to be there.
Right.
And I'd
not at 115.
Right?
Yeah.
Back then, the iPod, you know what I mean? And like make 200 shots, no rebounder. Just out there because I would get my own rebounds, conditioning, it's hot. It's funny you said that. Like, did you ever have like, was there like fans showing up when you're playing in the park?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So you had to kind of like be smart about it.
Yeah, we had to be smart about it. Yeah, for sure. We had to be very smart about it. And then I got very smart and kind of built a little full court. Outdoor court at my house in Akron. Yeah. And I would have I would have teammates come over,
runs,
and my best friends, and we'd have runs in the backyard, like on the blacktop.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like, it was.
That's great memories.
Yeah.
And then, like, say the last 7 years, like, do you still play pickup before the season, or do you like?
Not as much. Yeah. No, not as much.
Yep. Just the wear and tear.
Yeah, just the wear and tear and the risk. Especially like if I do it early in the season, I mean early in the off season, then I have the ability to kind of if anything was to happen, I have the ability to recover. Right. But then it's like but my body's still recovering early in the summer. Yeah. And then it gets to the point where like late August hits, and I'm like, do I want to risk? Right. I've trained my body. I know where I'm at. I know I'm physically fit and ready to go into training camp. Do I really want to risk it? So every now and then, during the workouts, like I'll play, one-on-one, or, compete versus, the coaches that's there, get that kind of bump, get some live reps with the coaches. They bump you off screens or they bump you in the post or things of that nature. So, but I haven't played as much 5-on-5 over the last few years.
So that first 2-3 weeks of preseason is your time to adapt to the demands of playing, to feel the bumps and bruises, the soreness, get the wind there,
from here, from low back all the way down, you're cooked.
It's
you're
like
cooked.
An adaptation process you have to go through. There's no cheating it. No matter how fit you are, no matter how much running, stairs.
Don't matter. That's when you know it's working. That's when you know it's working. When you can't feel anything from from here all the way down, and you're like, oh my God. I can't. Like you're like, I hate getting out of shape.
Right.
It's like, but I wonder how other people feel that hasn't done anything. So it's like,
sure.
you just try to stay tapped in.
Yeah, you got to go through that because you can't do it 12 months of the year, right? So you have to get out and get back in. You have to build up smart, especially as you get in your 30s, late 30s.
Yeah,
40,
for sure.
you gotta
40.
be smart about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's shift to the season then. Like maybe I'm always curious about this, and it's pretty common. I think fans probably know this now. Like they always say in the NBA, you got to have a routine.
Yeah.
Right, because you play so many games in different cities, different gyms, like sleep patterns, all that. So making sure you have a routine kind of just keeps you accountable. So you're not like making it up as you go along.
Right.
And it's definitely, for me, I would say like the top 20 guys in the league, like 19 of them are like religious, if not 20, about their routine, about what shots they need, all the prep, recovery, diet, sleep, all this stuff. How do you approach, I'd love to start with a practice day and then a game day. And so like, what does your day look like and how you manage it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for a practice day, if we're practicing at 11, I like to get to the facility, around probably around 8:30, to start my work.
Breakfast at the facility, breakfast at home?
Not until I don't eat until after practice.
After practice. So hydrate?
So I'm hydrating. I have either a green juice or some fruit or whatever the case may be. But I don't eat a full meal until I get back home after practice, and that's usually around my first meal is usually around 1:30, 2 o'clock.
And by design, or you just don't like eating before?
By design.
By design. So
yeah,
you
by
want
design.
that little bit of a fasting quality?
Yeah, a little bit of fasting quality. Yeah, by design.
And are you taking supplements?
Yeah.
Creatine?
No creatine. Just natural, everyday vitamins, things of that nature. Yeah.
Just a little protocol of vitamins.
If I have anything after practice, I have a fruit smoothie.
Okay.
Because I've burnt so many calories, whatever. I have a fruit smoothie or some overnight
quick
oats. Yep.
Before you eat.
So I get there, and I usually get dressed and go to the weight room. I'm usually in the weight room for about 45 minutes.
Every day or different days?
Different days. Yeah. Different days. If we had a couple days in between hand, I'll go to the weight room then, and because I like to lift on game day as well.
Yep.
So I'll go to the weight room and then
your lifting schedule isn't predicated on game day practice day. It's on the day. Like, what have I done? I haven't lifted
what
for
have
3
I
days.
done?
Yeah.
Yes, what have I done? For this week. So say for instance for this week, today we had a day off. So this morning was predicated on all rehabbing, body work, things of that nature before I got here. So I didn't know strengthening, whatever the case may be. Tomorrow we have a game. I'll go in early and I'll get a lift in before, and then right after I lift, I'll shoot. Early, 3-4 hours, about 5 hours before the game start. Because it's a back-to-back on Friday, I probably won't lift that day. It'll be more of a recovery work and then a little bit of shooting as well, just to prep me for the game. I have schedules depending on how the games are flowing throughout the season.
Right.
That's routine with the schedule.
And you go in the gym almost every day to do activation, mobility stimulation, every day, non-negotiable.
Yeah, non-negotiable.
For sure, same.
Yeah.
And then, do you, and this is probably a little bit of a summer question, but in the season, do you break it up into a strength block, a power day? Do you break it up in
No, I do a little bit of
total body type stuff, maintenance.
Yeah, maintenance, total body.
In the summer, do you break it up?
In the summer I break it up because the difference between obviously you would know you like to break it up in the summer because you don't want to get you don't want to get stale.
3 months of
for 3 months you're doing the same shit so you definitely break it up on purpose so you don't get tired of the same routine.
And also they can target in on a specific thing. Today we're working on power, today we're working on strength, whatever it may be.
Exactly. So for during the season, it's kind of the same a little bit. It changes, but it's the same routine because it's a cadence. I know my body is going to react well to it. No matter what I'm doing, my body is formed and it knows exactly how it's going to get the most out of it for those games.
Right. And the demands, make it almost impossible to get gains anyway. So to break it up too much, of course you have to touch on these things, but you can do that in a total body workout where you touch on it for maintenance rather than focus in on plyometric stuff, So that's interesting. And then
for sure.
Game days, maybe give me the rundown on game, or let me go back to practice days. What are your preferred recovery modules? Do you massage, compression, hot and colds, hyperbaric, cryo? Use them all?
It could be all of those on a day, and I try to maximize as much as I can. If it's a practice day, I try to get the massage in, the cold tub in, we have the the Normatec legs,
the
you know, to the
unit.
compression unit, the ice bags. I try to get it all in.
Use them all.
Yeah.
Variants.
Plus a nap.
Yep.
You know, when I get home after practice,
most
important, get a nap in.
Yep.
You know, when I wake up, you know, I'll either, depending on how my body's feeling, I have some things at home where I can put my foot in the foot bath, knees, everything. Just I'm trying to maximize how can I be to optimal shape and game ready for the next day. I'm always thinking about the next day.
You're obsessed.
Yeah.
I love it. You're obsessed. I love it. I feel this. I mean, this is, you know, kindred spirits in that way because you want to leave no stone unturned for a performance.
Why? It's all there for us. It's all there for us. And, you know, I have the luxury of having an unbelievable wife and help around the household to where they allow me to be able to use all my time while I'm playing the game. And listen, I know I'm when I'm done playing the game, that time will be priority number one will be my wife.
Yep.
It will be my wife, my kids, you know, and I just thank them for allowing me to have me as priority number one while I've had this profession. They've allowed me to do that. And I know it's not always been like, you know, great roses and it's been, you know, amazing, but they've allowed me to make myself priority number one in my profession of how I treat my body, how I do things, how the hours that I put into it in order to be the best I can be. And it's only right I give that back when I'm done.
But it doesn't work otherwise, right? Like you have
not if you want to be amazing. Not if you want to be great.
If you want to be great, or you want to keep playing.
Or you want to keep playing.
Right?
Yeah.
You want to extend your career beyond where you're supposed to play. You know, that balance, like how you handle the stability of home life, but you have to be selfish.
Yeah.
Right. So, and the family has to understand, like selfish is the wrong word. You know, committed.
Yeah.
Is the word. I'm committed to my craft, my career, but that family stability gives you a platform, right? Where you're not worried, like we're good over here.
Right.
I can go to work and do my thing.
It definitely it's worked wonders, man. It's been amazing. I've picked the right woman, and that and I've, you know, the kids have come along and they've, you know, accepted the fact that what I wanted to accomplish, and I've tried to just pour into them when I have the ability and do the things that I can as a father. But I've always wanted to be. I've always wanted to be as great as I could be. You know, I never knew what it was I never knew what it looked like, but I knew my craft and I knew my passion for wanting to be great.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know what the end result was. And that goes back to what we first talked about when we first started this was the process.
Right.
I knew I was in love with the process. And I didn't know what I was gonna get out of the process. But all I've seen as I've grown up and when I've played the game of basketball, that when I fell in love with the process, rewards was at the end of the tunnel. And I've never worried about, it was never the other way around. It was never the rewards are at the end of the tunnel. And then I worry about the process. It was always about the process.
Your reward was the process.
My reward was the process.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a great example, your family.
Yeah.
You know, the way you've been able to manage both. Your family's helped you build a platform to strive for greatness constantly.
Absolutely.
And that's just, I think one of the greatest parts about your career is not like the Wikipedia page, right? It's like the way you've done it. Like, man, I've made thousands of mistakes. Like, I don't know, have you made a couple? I don't know. Like, you've done so much, so long in the spotlight. I love that example for people out there, for society, for kids. So that's kudos to you and your wonderful wife and family, and your kids represent your family incredibly well too. Let me ask you this: game days, you're there so early. Like this is year 22. You're there how many hours before the game?
5.
5 hours before the game. Like that type of. I mean, first of all, I think you're crazy. Like, So first, like, I wanted to be there an hour and 40 so that I could get there and be like, bap, 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 like total efficiency. What is your frame of mind? Like, I want to be there all day, basically.
I want to give myself the time to prepare how I know I would like to prepare to get ready for match. You know, and what I do is it's all my time there's no fat.
Yeah.
There's no fuck around time
Yeah.
once I get to the arena. You know, I get there 5 hours before. as soon as I get there, I put my workout gear on, I go right to the weight room. As soon as I leave the weight room, I go to the court, get a workout. As soon as I leave the court, I go get body work and make sure that my body's moving and doing those things with my body. As soon as that is done, you know, I head in and put the Normatex and the ice and all that stuff on and recover from that. As soon as that is done, now I'm reading the scouting report, and I'm, you know, tapping into that. Pretty much when that is done, now JJ's coming into the locker room and he's addressing the team.
Yeah.
And it's time to go. Like that is, and I have
That's
a little
commitment.
meal in there too. I'm eating. I have a little meal, couple snacks there within there. Obviously, I want to keep keep my nutrition going, and I have to fuel the body because I know what I'm about to do out on the floor. But that time is occupied.
All intent and purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, like
It's all intent
I
and
had
purpose.
to get away.
Yeah.
So I was the opposite. Like I wanted to be there, and I had my thing. You know, like go in right away, body work, activation, shots, taped.
Yeah, go.
Coach is walking in.
Go.
Like I wanted to be like, because you know we play so many games. I didn't
for
want that
sure.
wasted energy. I
Yeah.
think maybe that's one thing that I wasn't great at is that I would waste like that anxious performance energy if
Yeah.
I was there too early.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I want to save that.
No, for sure. I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. And I'm getting to the. I have not gotten there obviously because I'm still doing it, but there are times I'll be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you in Portland. You were like, let me hit the alarm again.
I had no control over that. This body took over me. It was like, I'm not letting you out of this bed.
Right.
But there are times. I mean, I can see for sure. I mean, I'm 40 years old. I've been in this thing for 22 years. So like, you know, I definitely feel and see it, sense it sometimes when I leave the house at like 1 o'clock. The game is at 7:30, and I'm pulling up to the arena, pulling down in the tunnel at 2:15 in the afternoon for a 7:30 game, and I'm like, all right, let's get to work.
Incredible commitment. Okay, post game, like how dialed are you on nutrition? Are you like I have a plan for nutrition at all times? Or are you like 80% on my cheat mode? Like how do you manage nutrition?
Well, obviously, being home in a way is
Right.
different, but no, I'm pretty locked in on the nutrition side. You know, when it comes to what I put in my body is what I'm gonna get out of.
Yep.
You know, and obviously you definitely have, I definitely have cheat modes. Like I fucking love chocolate chip cookies and ice cream, and since I love ice cream, I have to get like the dairy-free ice cream and the low-fat, the non-gluten-free cookie. Like I have to kind of cheat it that way.
Yeah, me too.
But I love it.
Yeah.
But I love it. That's like my vice. I love it. So you have to know like, you playing on these games.
Does your family think you're crazy for that? Like when I go in the fridge and get myself like a yogurt popsicle, and my kids are like, "That's disgusting." And I'm
at
like,
this
"Oh,
point, they've accepted me for who I am. So yes, they early on. There's literally you could go in my freezer and there's like 3 different cartons of ice cream in there. There's
All
like
the healthiest
one
ice cream
like
on the planet.
It's like like when my daughter goes in there, she gets her vanilla bean ice cream. Is like extra creamery. I'll be looking at it like, damn, that looks so good. Oh my goodness, that's so good. And then mine over there is like, dairy free and all that stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, just give me, just give me that.
Organic.
But yeah, I'm pretty dialed in on it. And obviously, like I said, the road and being home, is, it fluctuates a little bit. But obviously, you're starting to in order to be ready for the next game or the road, whatever it is, it starts right after the game ends and you sit down, So I'm getting right to the ice and I'm getting right to nutrition and getting fluids back into me because I need to start preparing for the next game. So it's funny. A lot of people like see me like walking off the court, when there's like time left in the game.
Right.
Like no matter if it's a loss or a win. The reason I'm trying to get to the locker room so I can start
I think I saw a clip from last night.
Yeah. The game was a wrap.
I was hungry.
I got to get to the locker room to start my process to get ready for the next game.
That's
so
amazing.
I'll be sitting in the locker room, foot on an ice bags on. I got my smoothie and my fruit, and I'm already getting to it right now. So
That's amazing. Like people will probably see you leave the court and be like, "No, damn, he's
It was funny when during a loss, they was like, "Oh, he's a poor sport." He's leaving the court, they lost, and then they start seeing me do it during the wins. They was like, well, he's no sportsmanship.
That's a great thing for fans to know. Like that's how dialed you are in your process. It's like, I cannot wait for the next step in the process. You're not sitting there ready to like chest bump at the buzzer. Let me get in this tub.
Let's get this done.
Right?
Let's
get the right food in. That's amazing. I mean, I appreciate it. I was someone that tried to always look for every advantage. You know, I probably wasn't gonna beat anyone in a race, a jumping contest, a lifting, you know, so I always look for like to learn. So like the amount of time, resources, commitment you've put into your body, your craft, I think is an incredible example.
For sure.
So,
I mean, listen, from outside looking in, and like we said, we never had any conversations about it, but what you was able to do with your career, like you said, you wasn't the fastest, you wasn't the strongest, you wasn't the tallest, and you sitting with 2 MVP trophies, you know, and being able to transcend a game of basketball, like what you did, you know, in Phoenix with D'Antoni and those guys. You guys brought a level of expertise to the game that's still now being played. You know, get the ball up like right away. You know, like we're not wasting no time. You know, and being able to play with the pass, being infectious, things of that nature, and you being a catapult to that because of your level of commitment to your craft. I don't think that's talked about enough in our sport. You know, what's talked about is how high you can jump, how far you can shoot. You know, all these other, how strong you are. But I think what gets overlooked is the level of commitment to one's craft. And that is why you're able to succeed. You know, because we've seen it in sports. We've seen the strongest guys don't make it. We've seen the most athletic guys don't make it. We've seen the guys with the best looking shot don't make it. We've seen the guys with the greatest handles don't make it. What is it that separates? What is it that separates? Obviously, opportunity sometimes has something to do with it. Obviously, circumstances have something to do with it. But there's something about the level of the process when it comes to your craft.
Right.
And I don't think that's ever talked about enough, when it comes to our sport.
That's an interesting topic, actually. Like,
or sports in general.
Yeah. What are the non-negotiables? Like, what are the themes of greatness? Like, you know, like you said, it just because you're the biggest, strongest, fastest doesn't make you great, right? Like to me, it's kind of like resilience, like intelligence, you know, like these are the characteristics, like discipline.
Yeah,
like
discipline.
If you have the discipline to work at your craft, to get better every day, to always have a growth mindset, you know, if you are able to read and react, able to learn on the fly, you know, you can go places. Like, it doesn't matter how big. And so that's the beauty of this, finding the process, sticking with it, hitting plateaus, not giving up.
And not having all the answers, or not thinking you know all the damn answers.
Right.
Being able to have that growth mindset, you know, even though you may be great now, how do you know it's going to be sustainable 5 years from now or 10 years from now? How can you continue to reinvent yourself to the point where, like, you know, it gets to the point where it wasn't, your career didn't end 10 years ago because you gave up on the commitment of the process.
Yeah. Wheels fell off.
And it's, by the way, control what you can control.
Yeah, that's it, right?
And you can't control that.
Yeah.
But by the way, you sleep better at night. You're like, fuck, you know, I had more to give. I know I knew I was committed to the craft. Yeah. But that's something that you can't control. That's something certain people can't control, and that's okay. Yeah. But how can you sleep better at night when you know that you've cheated the process, or you didn't give everything that you had when you had all the opportunities to? You know, that's the thing that I knew for sure that I did not want to be a part of that conversation. Yeah. Because I knew I had the gifts. I saw I had the gifts. I knew I had the gifts. People were saying I had the gifts. I mean, I guess they know something. Something has to be going right. But in order for me to actually fulfill my commitment and my gifts and fulfill what I think I can become, I have to be able to tap into the process and lock in on that.
Well, I think that's an amazing message, a great place to stop. And if you listen to the last 45 minutes, I think there's no doubt that you maximized your gifts. As prodigious as your gifts have been, as early as you were touted as a great, there's a long way from start to finish. And I think your process is what got you there, not your gifts. And so that's a great message and a great example for a lot of people out there in sport, without sport, all that. So I appreciate it. And it was fun to hear about it.
I appreciate you.
We What do we got? Another 9 sit-downs. So
Hey,
It's gonna be great.
appreciate you.
So, absolutely.
good work.
You know what I wanted to ask though is like you need to bake into your day fuck around time. It's just by design, not because you don't have a plan.
Right.
So I wanted to ask, like, what is it? Is it reality shows? Is it
My shit is
Madden?
Madden.
I was gonna say. I heard it was Madden. Thanks for watching Mind the Game. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe for more.